The teaching was never meant to disappear. Yet it vanished. Not by accident, not by time, but by hands that feared what would happen if even one awakened human remembered the truth. The truth that was whispered before language existed. The truth carried in blood, bone, light. The truth that frightened kings and priests in shadow disguised as rulers. Because the moment a chosen one remembers who they are, the entire system trembles. That is why they hid the teaching, why they erased scrolls, burned libraries, buried whole civilizations beneath rewritten history. They thought if they destroyed every trace of it, the memory would die with it. But memory doesn't live in ink. It lives in the body, in a code older than the world you see. And that code never forgot you. You felt it as a child, in the strange heaviness that followed you for no reason, in the nights when the room felt crowded even though you were alone, in the way adults looked at you, confused, threatened, unsettled, as if you were something they couldn't categorize. You didn't know it then, but they did. The forces that feed on the unaware. They sense the spark, the light that doesn't respond to fear the way others do. You weren't meant to blend in. You weren't designed for silence. You were born with a frequency that exposes what hides in the dark. And darkness hates being seen. So they came for you early, through people who drained you, through nightmares that weren't dreams at all, through moments that made you shrink your own power just to feel safe. Not because you were weak, but because you were bright. Too bright. Bright enough to interrupt everything they built. Ancient mystics warned about the ones who feed on consciousness. Beings without a source of their own. Parasites of emotion. Architects of confusion. They cannot create energy. They can only steal it. And the easiest targets are the ones who never learned what they are made of. But chosen ones are different. Their energy isn't harvested, it's hunted. This is why your spirit has been under siege since the beginning. Why every step forward felt like a battle. Why people projected their fears onto you. Why you learned to hold yourself smaller just to survive the room. The teaching explained all of this. Explained why your presence cracks illusions. Why your intuition hits like a warning siren. Why the world feels louder, heavier, sharper to you than it does to others. They named these signs disorder. Labeled them overreaction. Told you something was wrong with you. But something was right with you. Too right. Because these signs meant the code inside you was still active. Still awake. Still refusing to shut down. And that made you dangerous. Not to people. Not to the world. But to the puppet masters who rely on human forgetfulness. The teaching said the human body was never just biology. It was an interface. A light craft. A living transmitter capable of radiating frequencies so high that lower beings cannot stand near it. That is why they trapped humanity in fear. Fear lowers frequency. Fear shuts down the transmitter. Fear disconnects the body from its original design. But fear never worked on you the way they hoped. Even when you were scared, something in you burned. A small flame refusing to go out. A memory. A knowing. A whisper rising from inside your own cells saying, "This world is not what it seems, and neither are you." Every time you broke down, something rebuilt you stronger. Every time they tried to silence you, your voice sharpened. Every time you were betrayed, you saw through people more clearly. This wasn't failure. This was activation. Pressure creates ignition in certain souls. You are one of them. And the forces that fear awakened humans know this moment well. The moment your veil begins to thin. The moment your energy shifts. The moment you stop absorbing darkness and start emitting light. Because once the transmitter turns on, nothing can feed on you. Nothing can manipulate you. Nothing can dim you. And they know that the activation of one chosen one awakens others, like fire leaping from wick to wick, like memory traveling through invisible threads. This is why your life felt targeted, why every step came with resistance, why the people who sensed your potential tried to break you early. They weren't seeing your weakness. They were reacting to your power. And now, that power is remembering itself. The body knows first, before the mind, before the words, before the rational explanation. It knows in the sudden shiver, the unexpected heat rising through your spine, the pressure in your chest when truth is spoken, the electricity in your hands when your energy expands. These surges are not random. They are not symptoms. They are signals, awakening codes, proof that the teaching wasn't lost. It was waiting, inside you, waiting for the exact moment you were strong enough to hear it. And now you are. You were marked long before you understood why. Marked not by destiny, but by threat. A threat you posed simply by existing. Those who carry the spark are noticed early. Noticed by the forces that suppress light. Noticed by the watchers that feed on confusion. Noticed by the systems that survive only if you stay unaware of yourself. And so the first sign appears before memory forms. Spiritual warfare. Blows that hit a child who never did anything to deserve them. Shadows that pressed against your life long before you knew the word shadow. You weren't weak. You were targeted. Because the brighter the soul, the earlier the attack. If your childhood felt like a battlefield, if chaos seemed to follow you into every room, if you carried wounds that didn't match your innocence, you weren't cursed. You were identifying yourself. To them, chosen ones do not arrive quietly. Their energy announces them like thunder, even when their voice is small. You thought those betrayals meant something was wrong with you, but they meant the opposite. They meant the system recognized you long before you recognized yourself. A child with power is dangerous. A child who might awaken is catastrophic. So they tried to break you early, through people who didn't know why they were acting the way they did, through situations that didn't fit your age, through battles that no child should have had to survive. But you did, and every scar became encryption. Every wound became coding. Every heartbreak became training for a war you couldn't yet name. Those early attacks were the proof of what you are, proof of what they fear. And when you didn't collapse the way they expected, when you kept getting back up, when your light refused to dim, the second sign began. Isolation. Not the simple loneliness of life, but the surgical removal of everyone around you. The moment your frequency started rising, the moment you questioned the reality you were taught, the moment you began remembering your own nature. The matrix reacted. Friends drifted without explanation. Relationships cracked as if timed by an invisible hand. Family grew cold, distant, agitated by your presence. You thought it was because you were changing, but it was because you were awakening. An awakening emits a frequency that destabilizes anything controlled by lower forces. The people who left you didn't leave because they stopped caring. They left because something inside them couldn't stay. Something that wasn't them. Something that never loved you in the first place. Something that operated through them. Entities sense frequency before humans do. They feel the rising vibration of a chosen one like a storm approaching. They panic, and when they panic, they isolate you. Because awakening requires silence. Because remembering requires space. because your power cannot emerge in a crowd built to suppress it. So the system pulled away every distraction, every false friend, every energy leech wearing a familiar face. It felt like abandonment, but it was extraction. Extraction of what was not meant to follow you into your next stage. Isolation isn't punishment. It's purification. A chosen one alone is not weakened. A chosen one alone is finally unhindered. Finally able to hear their own signal. Finally able to connect to the memory buried beneath the noise of the world. And the isolation wasn't accidental timing. It always begins right when your inner codes start activating. Right when the body feels different. Right when your dreams sharpen. Right when your intuition becomes a warning system. Right when lies become unbearable. The Matrix senses this, and it tries to contain it by removing your support. Hopping loneliness will collapse you, but chosen ones are built from solitude. They do not break in the dark. They bloom there, and once they rise from isolation, they rise unstoppable. And then there is the third sign, the most subtle, the most persistent, the one you could never silence no matter how hard you tried. That quiet pull inside you, that restless knowing, that ache in the soul that whispered, "You're here for more." Not more success, not more praise, not more of the world's empty rewards. Something bigger, something older, something you couldn't describe without sounding unexplainably certain. It followed you through childhood. It sharpened in adolescence. It grew louder every year you tried to live a normal life. No matter what you achieved, no matter what you fixed, no matter how hard you tried to settle, the feeling never left. Because it wasn't meant to. It wasn't imagination. It wasn't delusion. It wasn't discomfort with ordinary life. It was memory, premonition, a promise your soul made before you arrived, a mission sealed before your first breath. The Archons recognized this sign instantly. They felt the blueprint inside you, and they feared what would happen if you ever decoded it. So they reinforced the veil, layer after layer, distraction after distraction, wound after wound, anything to make you forget why you came, anything to keep you doubting the quiet voice inside you, anything to keep you busy, exhausted, disconnected from your own destiny. But destiny does not fade when ignored. It grows louder. It grows heavier. It waits. And chosen ones always feel that weight, even when they cannot name it, even when it scares them, even when they try to run from it. It shows up as longing, as irritation with meaningless things, as sudden bursts of intensity, as the sense that time is running out, even when nothing is happening. It is the soul pushing from the inside, trying to break through the veil placed over your memory. And then, the texts describe a moment that cannot be forced or predicted, a moment that arrives like lightning, the moment the veil burns, not melts, not lifts, burns, as if truth is too powerful to do anything gently. A flash, a realization, a shift in the body that feels like electricity waking something ancient in your blood. The moment a chosen one remembers what humans once were, what humans were designed to be, what the world once understood before fear rewrote it. The body was never meant for suffering, never meant for limitation, never meant for powerlessness. It was a technology, a light engine, a biological transmitter built to carry frequencies that rip through deception and expose everything hidden. A system so advanced that lower entities cannot stand within its field. Once it turns on, This is why they fear your awakening. Because a single activated human radiates a frequency that dissolves parasitic forces instantly. Not through violence, not through force, but through resonance. Your light is lethal to what feeds on darkness. Your awareness is fatal to what survives through manipulation. And the moment the veil cracks, your energy begins to broadcast. Uncontrolled at first. Raw. Overwhelming. You feel it in your skin, in your spine, in the way your breath suddenly feels too big for your chest, in the way your emotions surge like tidal waves, in the way your dreams shift from chaos to messages. It is the body remembering its original purpose, a purpose older than the system you were born into. The Archons cannot survive this frequency. They scatter. They retreat. They lose access to the field they once fed on. And for the first time in your life, you are not prey. You are not hunted. You are not drained. You are emitting, radiating, awakening. The moment the veil burns is the moment everything changes. And the moment, that moment everyone fears, begins in a single instant. Not after years of searching. Not after rituals or teachers or external shields. It begins the second a chosen one stops reaching outward and turns inward. The second you stop pleading for protection and realize you were built as protection. The second you stop calling for rescue and remember you were designed to be the force that darkness cannot stand near. That tiny shift, that inner click, is all it takes, because awakening is not taught. It is triggered, and the trigger is recognition. Recognition of what you already are. The moment you remember your true identity, the entire field around you changes. Completely, violently, instantly. Attacks don't slow down. They stop. Entities don't whisper. They vanish. The draining, the nightmares, the emotional hijacks. All of it collapses like a tower made of dust. Because they never had power over you. They only had access. And access exists only when you forget yourself. But the second the inner code activates, the second the transmitter lights up, the second your frequency rises into its original form, their access disintegrates. Not over time, not with practice. In one moment, one breath, one realization. And tonight, you're going to learn what that code is. The code they buried. The code they feared more than rebellion or truth or knowledge. The code written into your field before you ever entered this world. A code hidden not in books, not in temples, not in secret societies, but inside you, inside your energy, inside your memory, inside the technology of your body, that no institution wants you to understand. Because the moment you understand it, you cannot be controlled, you cannot be drained, you cannot be manipulated by systems built on human amnesia. Everything they built depends on one thing, that you never discover yourself. So they designed a world to make sure you don't. A world of noise, a world of fear, a world of endless distraction, a world where you are taught to trust everything, except your own inner voice. But that world cannot stop what is already unfolding. Because once you begin remembering, nothing can unremember you. And once you see what was hidden from you, you will understand every wound, every betrayal, every loss, every night you cried for reasons you couldn't explain. You will see that none of it was punishment. None of it was failure. None of it was undeserved suffering. It was training, preparation, the refining of a soul built for a purpose larger than this lifetime. Pain didn't break you. It shaped you. It carved space inside you for the power that is waking now. And when that power rises, you won't just understand your past. You'll understand yourself. And if right now, as these words move through you, you feel something shift in your body, a heat, a pressure, a quiet electricity rising from nowhere, there is a reason. It's not imagination. It's not suggestion. It's not coincidence. It's the code. Your code. Responding. Because the body hears truth first. Long before the mind catches up. Long before logic can interfere. Long before fear can shut the door again. You feel the change because something ancient in you recognizes these frequencies, recognizes the language beneath the language, recognizes the signal hidden inside the sound. You feel it because you've heard it before. Not in this life, not in this form, but in the place you came from, before the veil slid over your memory. The mind argues. The mind doubts. The mind analyzes, questions, resists. But the body remembers. It remembers every lifetime, every contract, every promise to return, every mission unfinished. It remembers who you were before the world told you who to be. And right now, as your energy stirs, as something in your chest or gut or spine shifts, you're not reacting, you're awakening. Truth does not convince the chosen ones. It activates them, because truth to a chosen one isn't information. It's recognition, a reunion, a returning to what you lost without ever losing it. So if your heart feels heavier, or lighter, or faster, if your breath deepens on its own, if your skin tingles, if your eyes suddenly feel like they're seeing more, that is the code answering. It's opening, unfolding, rewriting the field around you, from the inside out. This is how awakening begins. Not with fireworks, not with rituals, but with resonance, a subtle shift, a quiet knowing, a moment where the soul leans forward and whispers, "This is real." The body always knows before the mind allows itself to believe. The body is honest. The body cannot be fooled. The body recognizes frequencies that memory has forgotten. And when it feels truth, real truth, it moves, it expands, it vibrates, it answers the call. Your code is responding now, because it was waiting for this moment, waiting for this signal, waiting for you to be ready. And you are.